will continue the existing moratorium and suspend the issuance of new permits to drill new deepwater wells for 6 months. We will suspend action on 33 deepwater exploratory wells currently being drilled in the Gulf of Mexico.
That was President Obama announcing a moratorium on new deepwater drilling in the Gulf. It seemed like a very sensible response to the Deepwater Horizon disaster, and the reasoning was clear. While the technology exists to drill at 5,000 feet, we have absolutely no clue what to do and how to do it when something goes wrong.
Tomorrow, BP plans to send down the containment dome to cover one of the 2 remaining leaks. But this has never been tried before at 5,000 feet under the sea.
Rice University professor Satish Nagaraja says this has never been tried in water so deep.
I hope it works. It has not been used at that depth before.
And these vessels started the long-awaited top kill procedure this afternoon, a maneuver never tried before a mile beneath the sea.
A mile beneath the sea is, we have learned, a very difficult, dangerous place to drill for oil. But we must still meet our energy needs, right? So what's the alternative? Shallow water drilling? Drilling for oil at shallower depths means that when an oil spill does occur, we have the technology and know-how to immediately cap the spill, like the one that occurred Tuesday off the southern Louisiana coast. A barge collided with an abandoned wellhead in Barataria Bay, releasing an unknown amount of oil and gas into the Gulf. But don't worry, remember, shallow water, we'll just cap it immediately and, except it's going to take another 10 to 12 days to actually cap that well, which sort of makes you reconsider whether drilling in shallow water really is the kinder, gentler way to get our oil. Environmental safety issues don't just fade away once the oil is taken out of the seabed or the ground. It still has to travel around the country, often by pipeline, like the 30-inch pipeline in Marshall, Michigan that burst on Monday. The Environmental Protection Agency estimates that more than 1 million gallons of oil may have spilled into the Kalamazoo River. There's got to be a better, less environmentally disastrous way to meet our energy needs. What about natural gas? It's got the word natural right there in the name, right? As easy to access natural gas sources dry up, drillers increasingly turn to a process called hydraulic fracturing, or fracking. They pump highly pressurized water, sand, and some mysterious mixture of chemicals into the ground to force the gas up. But you know what's also in the ground? Water. Water we drink. In the HBO documentary Gasland, one gentleman showed to great effect that maybe, just maybe, some of that natural gas made its way into his water supply. I'm no engineer, but I am pretty sure you're not supposed to be able to light your water on fire. But fracking has its defenders, like the 18 Republicans in the Colorado state legislature who sent a letter to the EPA demanding the agency not regulate fracking, no matter what. Okay, so deep water drilling is dangerous, shallow water drilling is dangerous, moving around oil around the country is dangerous, getting natural gas out of the ground is probably dangerous, and don't even get me started on coal. Joining us now is Michael Klare, professor of peace and world security studies at Hampshire College, and he's authored the book Rising Powers, Shrinking Planet, The New Geopolitics of Energy. Professor Klare, thanks so much for joining me tonight.
It's my pleasure, Chris.
Well, you know, it seems to me one of the points you make in the book that I think is so affecting is just the fact that you argue that this is what things are going to look like from now on because we've gotten the easy energy. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, we've been extracting oil and natural gas and coal for a very long time now, and it's a natural process. You go for the easy stuff first, the wells that are close to the surface, close inshore, easy to extract geologically, and in safe, friendly countries. And most of that has now been used up. So what's left is the tough stuff. It's deep underground, far offshore, in geologically complex formations like shale rock, and in unsafe and unfriendly countries. And we have no choice. Those are the only places left to go.
So what are some of the most extreme examples of the lengths to which we are now going to get these difficult-to-reach resources?
Well, you began, of course, with BP in the Gulf of Mexico. We've been going into ever greater depths of water to get at oil and natural gas. A mile, be 2 miles. And increasingly, this is where the oil companies are looking, because you spoke of coastal water before, but most of the inshore offshore oil fields have now been depleted, so it's only deep offshore that we have left. Or we go further north into the Arctic, and there are lots of plans to drill in the Arctic region, but this is a very environmentally fragile area, and any oil spill that occurred there would have devastating consequences for wildlife.
You know, it seems the problem, right, is that even if we start to ramp up innovation along alternative energies and we try to get that stuff to scale, we're going to still need coal, and we're still going to need natural gas, and we're still going to need oil. You know, what do we do now in that interim while we're being forced into these kind of dangerous processes?
Well, this all assumes that we need ever more huge quantities of energy, and that has always been the assumption, that we need to provide more and more and more energy year after year. And if you go on that assumption, yes, we're going inevitably to be drawn to tough coal and to tough oil and to fracking, as you said before. We have to reach a point where we say we can't continue to grow the energy supply. We have to invest instead in efficiency, in conservation, in using public transportation so that we don't need so much energy. This is the only way we can make the transition from the dangerous energy options we have today to safer, more climate-friendly energy options of the future.
Michael Klare, Professor of Peace and World Security Studies at Hampshire College, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
My pleasure.